Oh, here we are with day 4. This day is quite a journey. I start by fixing the difficulty tier. I had to put up in debug mode to do that, but it's sorted by the time the video starts. The I then start by spamming the new forgive hook thing, grant mercies, whatever it is, with my all my dynasty members. I need to do 250 of these. It's actually like 230 something because it's counting the 20 or so prisoners that I had released that I had execution reasons on. It's not displaying those, but it is counting them, so I'll be able to claim at like 230 rather than 250. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna have way more than that by the time I get there. The um, the interaction also doesn't care if people are in your realm, so I can now just go through and find every witch and forgive them. I can do the same thing with cannibals. I can do the same thing with dark eyes. And I do start to do it with dark eyes, but ultimately I'm like, well, I'm a long time away from wanting to claim this victory, and I get one free reason with every dynasty member. I don't need to spend the time doing this. I'll uh, I'll have to do it with all my dynasty members anyway, because Mercy also requires you to have no hooks. So it's not just I can do it on my dynasty members. I have to do it on my dynasty members. So I figure I may as well save my wrist some difficulty and just stop with the dark eyes after I do a few here. Um, so at this point, we've done 5 victories. We started with Harmony, we did Devotion and Dominion, and we've done Whimsy. So at this point, I still need to claim Invention and what's the other one? Invention and Mercy. I plan to claim them both at the same time to then claim Honor. With the plan to hopefully either be abdicating into a child that'll let me claim Cultivation, or I can do that later. Um, I need to claim Ambition, which will make that next character immortal, and then I need to claim Endowment. Now, I will quickly realise at this point that waiting for Endowment is kind of pointless, because I will spend multiple hours today sitting doing absolutely nothing, just waiting on things ticking up, waiting on various values ticking up. The reason I need to keep waiting is that I want to claim Ambition with one character, which means that I need my Renown to fly up, because I have to be able to claim. I have to fill out every single Dynasty Legacy perk, which is also going to take a ridiculous amount of Renown. I think it's 400,000. I worked out as, which is it's a lot. Um, but yeah, I'm just sitting here doing nothing for the first few years, and then I'll eventually change my mind and decide to get started on Ambition. Not Ambition, on Endowment. So there I just picked Dwarf as a trait to make more common with the Dynasty Legacy. I'll still need some good eugenics, so kick that back into high gear and hopefully get more dwarves in the Dynasty, because it's it's a trait that's most lacking just now. I've got my Spy Master finding secrets now, so I can just blackmail people and then forgive the hooks on them constantly. There's some cases in which you can double dip. If, for example, the secret is something like Witch that is criminal for my faith, then I can blackmail them to get a hook, forgive the hook, expose them so they've now got a crime, and then I can forgive the crime. So I can get twice as much out of each secret if it's the right kind of secret. At this point, I notice I've got the secede from Urithiru decision. This is because my wife is in so much debt because she has been at war perpetually because I made her my faith. So I was like, well, I need independence anyway, so yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and do that. I end up remaining as a kingdom for a while because she's got the empire title I want and I can't revoke it while she's getting her ass kicked. Ultimately, it will destroy itself because the empire obscurity rule is on, which means that if any empire doesn't control at least 20% of its de jure territory, then it will get an event to be destroyed. So I won't have to usurp it. I won't have to wait for it to be at peace. It will destroy itself eventually, which will be nice because it'll let me become an emperor and bump my renown game back up. Now that I'm independent, I've got access to the Radiant Council, which is real good because they can provide some quite strong buffs. So I can start using them to help my realm out a bit. I start storing and tapping investiture. The reason I've been storing it most of the time is that you can only have as much investiture as you have gold. So I figure I may as well be storing it in my ferrochemy, which lets you have infinite. But at this point, I'm starting to strengthen the Nihil bonds of all of my will shapers in my dynasty to bump my renown game, and I need a lot of investiture for that. So I start to tap some out and store some more, and just play about with it as needs be. The basic goal is to have everything that I don't need be stored in ferrochemy rather than stored just as investiture, because I can lose that investiture if I lose all those gems of upgrading buildings or if I have to fight a war. These things happen, so yeah, it's best to keep it in ferrochemy because there I can just tap as much of it as I want. Or at least that was how it used to work. Now I can only tap 2 times as much as I can store, but it still lets me triple my gain and it'll fly up pretty quickly like that. So it's yeah, it's definitely better to be storing it in ferrochemy rather than leaving it in gems that can be lost. At this point, I decide I will start trying to revoke this vassal's land because that lets me win the defensive war, which gives me uh, +1 domain limit, and I can use that to I can forgive him for going to war to get more acts of mercy granted as well. So it's a win-win really. Just sit here and farm that out. You will notice that I got attacked by a Chasm Fiend there. We'll just pretend that doesn't happen because I'm gonna have to go and save scum because killing that Chasm Fiend counts as a kill, which prevents me getting mercy. Come on, Tolbson, you know that Chasm Fiends should not count as characters. That's bullshit. At this point, I've got the Empire of Urutheru, and I can just sit here and chill. I need to still keep working on the eugenics, so I've got a good person to have to get into, but it's not. It's going to be a while yet for that. I'm thinking at this point, so I'm not overly concerned. So I'm still marrying some people out to get extra renown gain as well. Got to basically balance renown gain from marrying dynasty members to outside people and eugenics by marrying them with internally. Just whenever I remember, I go through all my dynasty members and cycle and strengthen their bonds so they will rank up faster and we can get more renown out of them. At this point, I'd peacefully vassalize some people over there, and then I start getting rebellions from all the land that hates being uh, in my realm because it's the wrong religion. I just grant them independence. I don't care. I only granted the vassals because I noticed it pop up. Um, Ultimately, holding that land is not worth the effort. So just a lot of sitting around waiting for my dynasty prestige to tick up so that I can fill out all these legacy perks. I also noticed I don't actually have to claim the top one, the one that's added via Royal Court. Presumably Tobin just didn't update the decision with that. That'd be an extra. That'd be a lot of extra dynasty prestige, but thankfully it's not a requirement, so it's still only 400,000 rather than God knows how much. The cost scales quite quickly. Well, it's just plus 500 each time you want to claim one, but still ends up stacking pretty high by the later legacy trees. You can see I'm constantly being dragged into wars by various allies. I don't actually want the alliances. I just want to marry people off for their renown gain. So I just don't help, and then anytime they say, "Hey, you're not helping," I can just say, "Yeah, sorry, I refuse. Break the alliance," and that really helps with stopping getting called into so many wars. It's at this point that I realise I'm being kind of stupid, sitting here doing nothing, waiting for Dynasty Prestige to tick up, when I've got the Endowment Victory, which is going to be really hard and take a long time. So I could make a start on that just now. It's going to make things more complicated because I'm going to have vassals that will be annoyed at me most of the time, but I can get started on it and save myself some time. The problem is that the easiest way for me to expand is to utilise the fact that bondsmiths get ridiculous vassalization acceptance. The problem is that there are giant empires in the way. Like Yakoved is huge in this game. But I come up with a plan. I already talked about the Empire Obscurity rule earlier, where an empire will be destroyed if you don't control at least 20% of the land. So, all I need to do is grant someone a random province, grant them the province of Urithiru so they're not my de jure vassal. Well, the reason I had to grant them the random province is so their capital is not de jure my vassal. I can then grant them independence, and a few short years later, I'll get the event to have my empire destroyed because I don't control enough de jure territory. That will let me swear fealty to Yakoved, and it'll also mean I'm only a kingdom rank, which means I can start using the buy claim interaction on the empires that are in the world that are in the way. So once I swear fealty to Yakoved, I can use the buy claim interaction. I can use the buy claim interaction on the other empires, and I can use the claim throne interaction on Yakoved, which will let me claim all these empires. That'll greatly speed up my plans for endowment. So I start waiting. I'm looking for a good opportunity to do that, and I'll get kickstarted on that pretty soon at this point. You see there that the thrill just showed up. By embracing it, I'm then able to capture it because I have a perfect gem and I'm a rank 5 bondsmith. This gives me a bunch of renown, and it means I only need 8 rank 5 Radiant Councillors rather than 9, which is nice. I also start working on an alternative plan to have the Kingdom of Yakoved basically explode rather than uh, me vassalizing myself to it, swearing fealty to it was what I was going for. I was kidnapping the heir, I was going to convert it to religion, do a whole bunch of stuff. It doesn't end up working because he gets granted land right before he comes of age. I need him to be an adult for some reason. I think I was planning to get him married off as well. The plan didn't work, so I don't really remember what I was going for exactly. But yeah, ultimately, it's not worth the effort because his mother gets banished or something, so all of her land gets granted out to her children, and he becomes landed, which greatly restricts the kind of things you can do to him while he's in your prison. You can't convert him, you can't recruit him, so it wasn't worth the effort. At this point, I was considering trying to start upgrading the Tower of Urithiru because it provides some big bonuses by granting it to someone and then me paying for the upgrade, because while I don't hold the land, it doesn't have the 3 times building cost modifier. So that would be a good way to get around that, but I ultimately decide it's not worth the expenditure if I'm about to start making a serious attempt for endowment, because I'm going to need a lot of money. So I go with the other plan of granting Urithiru independence via another province, and then it's just a matter of sitting and waiting for the event to destroy the Empire title. When I'm sitting spamming people with gifts like that, that's for me to raise my own stress level so I can get increased domain limit and increased income. The At this point, the patch has come through that means that you can only tap things to twice of their maximum storage limit using ferrochemy, and it also halved the maximum storage limit for wakefulness. So that means I can only get plus 100% stress, which isn't a whole lot. Because I've got a bunch of negative modifiers, so I need to send a lot of gifts to get my stress high enough to be able to hit level 2 and start getting the bonuses out of it. So it all happened pretty quickly there, but I've suddenly uh, become a vassal of Yakoved, then kidnapped the Emperor and taken over Yakoved, and it's now time to start converting my. I've just granted away the Head of Faith title because that lets me convert religion, which then lets me get vassalizations on people very easily. So it's just a case of waiting for them to be at peace, converting to the religion, offering vassalization, and they'll almost always say yes, especially once I start getting more vassals, so I start getting stronger. Um, the empires of Erie and the Azish Empire, I'll be able to uh, get via a normal war and doing the old kidnapping trick. As I talked about earlier with the seduction scheme, the chance of the scheme succeeding doesn't actually change, even though it says it does. Once the event is fired, if you do something to change the chance, such as by declaring war, which gives a negative 200 to the success chance, then it doesn't actually matter as long as the event's fired. And again, the results are deterministic, so I can just check to see if it's a successful kidnapping, and if it is, I can declare the war. If it's not, I can wait for the next one. Just repeat this, and soon I will be the only emperor left standing. Well, okay, there will be uh, Tazim's God Empire. Who cares about that guy? He's insane. And there will be the Amiens. Don't care about them. They're far away on their island. Just let them be. But the main body of Roshar will have basically no empires left, so everything else I'll be able to vassalize, and we'll be getting endowment done pretty quickly. The reason, another reason I want to get endowment done is that when you take the endowment decision, the entire world becomes shattered. Every single province becomes an empire. So what I can do with that is if I grant all of my 30 odd provinces out to my kids, then just any dynasty members, just giving them one each, then I'll suddenly have like 30 emperors in my dynasty. Stacking that with all of the ridiculous percentage gains that we're currently getting, it will send my renown gain through the roof and greatly accelerate the rate at which we fill out these dynasty legacy trees to make ambition ready for me to abdicate, for me to kill myself with the honor decision and get work on my next character. But yeah, because of the ridiculous cheap cost to convert faith, it's just super easy to vassalize the entire world like this. I can just flip religion, and because I have almost 100 learning, every time I flip religion, all of my vassals flip with me because learning plays a big impact in that. And then there's connection, which is increasing all their opinion of me. So it becomes pretty easy to have the entire world become one faith, which now I'm thinking about it, is probably a good way to get autonomy done. I may well consider that if I ever feel the need to do another run for whatever reason. Just become a bondsmith, vassalize the entire world, have everyone be flipping religion constantly to whatever I decide, to have them not have slavery anywhere. I know the AI are generally very bad at converting their land, but it'll be better than doing it all myself, so it's something. I spent a long time trying to vassalize this central Shin kingdom, and then I realized that I don't actually border her because that's a major river between us, so that doesn't count as bordering. So I have to actually get the Shin passes first if I want to be able to vassalize her. It's quite annoying, but we'll get there eventually. Start getting a bunch of claimant factions popping up. So just throw gold at them. Provides a ridiculous amount of opinion. I imprison the claimants because I will eventually need 10 kingdoms to grant to my dynasty members because I need to be able to claim the Dynasty of Many Crowns decision. I'm also waiting until I have. There's a few different versions of endowment. You can do it with 500 realm size if you hold 5 empires, or you can do 1,000 realm size regardless. I'm going for the 1,000 realm size regardless because I won't hold 5 empires, because to be able to grant independence to my dynasty members, they need to not be de jure vassals, which means I'm going to have to destroy pretty much every empire title. So that's why I'm still just sitting here trying to vassalize everyone. Is that I've not reached the 1,000 realm size part yet, and I need a whole lot more investiture because you need the number of dynasty members squared, and that's put me at like 22,000 right now. So I'm now tapping that as high as I can to get that filled out as quickly as I can. I've also noticed that my economy is collapsing. And for some reason, I'm still filling out court positions. The reason the economy is collapsing is that the cost of courtly amenities is dependent on the size of your realm, but my income is not scaling anywhere near as fast as the size of my realm. So it's yeah, they're 100 some ducats a month. That's obviously not great. Okay, my stress was at a low level, but still, once I sort that out, I still need to dump these amenities because this is just not going to be sustainable. If I need to hold over 20,000 ducats, and I'm going to have to create a bunch of. I'm going to have to usurp a bunch of empire titles because one of the other requirements for uh, endowment is to grant 10 empires. So the plan there is, now that the Empire of Urithiru isn't, it doesn't actually exist right now, but eventually I will vassalize Urithiru again, create that empire, take the province of Urithiru for myself, and then whenever I can just grant the empire title to someone, they'll immediately become independent, and I can then usurp it because they hold none of the de jure land because I'm holding Urithiru. I just do this repeatedly, get my 10 granted empires. There's actually a bug where it isn't counting granted empires, so I had to fix that with the console as well. Again, I was talking to the mod creator about it. I think he's looking into it, but it's quite a complicated thing to fix. So yeah, I'll do that in a bit once Urithiru lets me vassalize them again. There's a cooldown because they were recently granted independence. I have to wait for that opinion to go away before they'll let me vassalize them. But I've now unlocked primogeniture and swapped to that, and I'm at the highest crown authority, which lets me choose my heir rather than have it be random. So that's nice, and that'll let me pick the perfect child to succeed me when I do honour, hopefully someone who has all of the necessary traits to be able to do ambition and cultivation. So yeah, at this point it's just a waiting game of waiting for people to be at peace so I can vassalize them to get my realm size up. Got most of Rosharm, but there's still wars going on everywhere. I can't get over to the last bits in the Shin because the Shin Pass is at war, which means I can't vassalize them, and the everyone else is locked behind Central Shin, which I don't technically border until I get Shin Passes. So yeah, go through here revoking kingdoms where I can, so I've got enough to grant them to my children to be able to get the Dynasty of Many Crowns decision taken once I grant them their independence. Just everyone's getting a bit pissed off, but that's fine. Only some minor saves coming to avoid wars when people say no. I've also noticed I'm way above my domain limits. I'm currently granting out all of the baronies that I got from all that stuff. I'll grant out some counties as well to the kids that I intend to release when I do Dynasty of Many Crowns. Some more gift spamming to get my stress level high enough. I almost had a panic attack and considered dropping it again because there is a mechanic that's supposed to kick in if you're on stupid difficulty or above, which is that you get hit with what's called a balance bonk if you're above 100 income, which provides negative percentages to your income, your monthly piety, and your monthly prestige. The income part I wouldn't really have cared about, but the piety and prestige would have been annoying because my next character needs to hit maximum prestige and piety rank to be able to claim ambition, so that might have got in the way of that. But something to do with the difficulty tier bug that I had earlier means that even though that I've fixed my difficulty tier, the event that gives out the balance bonk wasn't initialized at the start of the game, so it just wasn't triggering. Ultimately, it's not that big a deal. I would have just save scummed my way back to below 100 income every time it fired by dropping my stress if I had to. Even at this 200 and something around gain a month, I think I worked out at this point that it was still going to be like 180 years to be able to get all the dynasty perks for ambition. So I'm pretty glad that I changed my mind and decided to go for ambition, for endowment rather. And down here is I'm just granting out the Empire of Urithiru repeatedly. I then realise I fucked up by granting out all these other empires that I can't revoke. So I save scum, only grant out the Empire of Urithiru, usurp, revoke constantly. Grant it to these four until I've done it 10 times. Then I can vassalize them all again. And then it's just a case of waiting till I've got the 1,000 realm size because I'm pretty close to there on the investiture and the gems. I'll have to. I've still not got Dynasty of Many Crowns yet, but I can get that right at the last second. So it's just almost there for endowment. I also noticed that one of the people that I'd granted the province to there was Colin. They were my descendant, but they were from that uh, accidental matrilineal marriage I had when I was doing D&D. So I revoked it from them. I'll grant it to someone else here. Starting to grant out these 10 kingdoms. I'd say just to do them all on the Shattered Plains, just so I can keep track of everyone nice and easily. Put my capital over in Urithiru, grant that out, and now just waiting for the last couple of bits. And I've just noticed that the Shin passes is at peace, so I can vassalize him, which will let me vassalize Central Shin and the rest of Shinovar, and I can claim endowment. So before I do that, okay, I'm gonna wait on a few months more of investiture, but immediately before I'm going to claim it, I'm going to go around and I'm going to grant every single province I have to a different dynasty member, just to maximise the amount of prestige gain I'm going to get. What I should have done there is I should have revoked the Head of the Faith title from that girl I granted it to earlier because I needed to grant the Head of the Faith title out so I could convert religion. I should have revoked it now because I need to be Head of Faith to claim Adonalsium. I didn't, So it's gonna shoot me in the foot later, but we shall see when we get to that. So it's time for endowment. Grant all of the provinces out, and we'll see just how much renown a month we can get up to. $4,500 renown a month. That's going to cut like 100 years off the campaign at a minimum, and that's not to mention all of the time that I was going to have to spend doing endowment after claiming ambition with the original plan. So I'm very much glad that I changed my plan with that. There's one downside, which is that the game is lagging like hell with all of these empires. Because every province is now an independent realm, so they've all got their own royal courts, all this nonsense. It definitely cut 100 years off the run. I don't know if I actually made it any faster in terms of hours required. At this point, I'm not far from being able to do invention or mercy, so I start looking for high level radiants to invite to join my council, so that I'll be able to follow it immediately with honor. So invite everyone I can to join, start strengthening their bonds, and just waiting for a good kid for it to be worth doing it, so I can do cultivation as well. Now that I'm a tiny realm again, it's worth bumping my amenities to get my court grandeur up, so start getting hit with penalties for that. And I realised that I've got a whole lot of dynasty members that I need to go and do Mercy's interaction on. Some of them are out of range just now, but it's fine. I can just get myself a span read, which gives you plus 200% diplo range, and that solves that problem. That lets me grant Mercy's reprieve to everyone, which gets me. I think I'm pretty close to, if not already well past. Yeah, already well past the number required. So I'm just sitting here waiting now for a kid to be worth doing, be worth abdicating for. Realistically, I should have waited until I had someone with the ambitious trait. I really just wanted to get this done. The ambition's victory requires you to have the ambitious trait and the adventurer trait. The adventure trait doesn't show up naturally very often, so that's why I was planning to do the dungeon delve to kill Ray Shafir to get adventurer. But as you see here, I've just got a perfect child, so create a backup save just in case. Go through and strengthen all of the bonds to make sure I've got enough Radiant Councillors. I do. There's enough at rank 3. So create another backup save. Fire Invention, Fire Mercy, Fire Honor. And now here I am with the kid, and I can immediately claim Cultivation. 4 victories done in the space of a few minutes. And only one left. All I have to do now is claim Ambition, which just requires me to reach maximum piety rank, maximum prestige rank, pick up the ambitious and adventurer traits. Ambitious I can either get naturally via childhood, or I can get via an event from your spren if you're a bondsmith, which I will be. So it's just a case of waiting, and then I need to be a rank 5 a rank 5 radiant, but because claiming Adonalsium requires you to be a rank 5 bondsmith, I may as well go for bondsmith with this character rather than having to create another one after him. At this point, I'm kind of confused because I'm getting attacked by AI, which is not supposed to happen when you're only Nero Zero. Something about the claim CB overrides that, and they're still declaring war for their artifacts, which is kind of annoying. But here we are. I just tried to kidnap Brandon Sanderson so I can steal the Mistborn trait from him using Healergy, but that's when I noticed that you can't interact with him in any way. Need to do a bit of save scumming here because I am storing a bunch of health with Ferrochemy. This is so I can live as long as possible, because I can tap that later on once my health is actually a problem. Because I need to become a rank 5 bondsmith, which takes quite a long time. I just saw with my first character, I think it took him like 130 years or something like that. So I'm going to have to live quite a while without being immortal, since the ambition decision specifically requires that you're not immortal. I surrendered to the first few artifact claim wars because I didn't seem to be getting ticking war score. I was getting taken war score. It's just very slow. I could have just sat and waited. I also could have just called in all of my house members, but it's fine. I don't really care about them. The reason I didn't want to surrender for that one is that she was asking for artifacts I actually cared about, which is, not acceptable. At this point, you may be asking why I said day 4 was a roller coaster. It seems to have just been straight good shit from when it started. Got endowment done, got some more victories done. Everything's going well. Um, you will see. It is coming. I almost abandoned this run multiple times between now and the end of this video, and there's a lot of saves coming that isn't that isn't shown in the video. There's a lot that is. You've got a lot of. I don't think I'm an adult by the time this video ends, which is still quite a while away. So at this point, the game's lagging like hell because every single court decided now was the time to change their language to Alethi. I don't know why they all wanted Alethi, but they did. Um, I will eventually decide. Look how fast the days are progressing. This is still 10 times speed. I didn't slow that down. I eventually save and reload, and it gets rid of all that spam. But yeah, this is even more painful than it is for you guys. I was doing that at one times. But yeah, there we go. That sorts it out, and the days are flying by again. So I chose to get myself educated by an ambitious character. Don't know if that actually impacts the chances of getting ambitious from your childhood. I do get lucky. I get ambitious, so everything is good. All that's left is basically to become a bondsmith and then go and kill Racier Fear. Now, I managed to become a bondsmith eventually. You won't see that. You'll get to the point where I get the stress break, and then it's going to cut, and I'm going to cut back to earlier while I'm still a child. The reason for that is that after becoming a bondsmith, I delved down into the depths of Urithiru to do the dungeon delve to kill Racier Fear and um, pick up the adventure trait. The problem is that killing Racier Fear is very much more difficult than I remembered it being. This is because when I did it earlier, I didn't have the difficulty tier set correctly, so Racier Fear wasn't getting buffed, and B, I had an investiture shield. I thought I was going to have an investiture shield with this guy because I thought I was going to have the Hoid trait. Unfortunately, remember earlier when I said there was no downside to claiming the Whimsy decision early, right? It's just a bonus of giving 16% renown to everyone. Yeah, turns out there was a downside, which is that this character doesn't have ambitious. This character doesn't have the Hoid trait, which means that killing Racier Fear is nigh impossible. I'm pretty sure it can't be done. Tobson says that might be a bug. I just think it's scaled too difficult for double stupid. It might also be the fact that Racier Fear copies your prowess when you go in, and I was always going in with 100 prowess, and then she was killing me in one hit. Who knows? Ultimately, the problem is I can't get adventure via Racier Fear. I sit and search through the game files looking for other ways to get adventure. There's a result in the Dungeon Delve file. I just assume that's the Racier Fear one. There's a result from getting quests. I can't get quests because I'm an emperor, and I can't really think of a good way to stop being an emperor now because I have multiple empire titles, and one of them is titular. So good luck getting that destroyed. Um, there's some results from vanilla, but none of them are accessible to me as a landed character. So I am pretty distraught. I'm like, right, well, the run is dead. Then I come up with a genius plan. All I have to do is swap to a character who is ambitious and does have the Hoid trait. Then I can go do the dungeon delve with them. That will let me claim ambition with them, and that'll let me claim Adonalsium as soon as I get rank 5 bondsmith. Okay, I won't have an immortal to do that because I don't have any bondsmiths in my dynasty that work for this, but that's fine. I'll just have to manage to get rank 5 bondsmith naturally. The problem is that the only character who's ambitious that I can abdicate to is 110 years old, and he's only a rank 2 radiant. Ambition requires you to be a rank 5 radiant. There is no way in hell I'm getting 3 ranks with a 110-year-old dude before he dies. But I come up with another plan. I look into the Dungeon Delve file, and it turns out there's actually 2 ways to get Adventurer from a Dungeon Delve. The first is beating Ratio Fear. I've saved scum now, so this is the plan is going ahead. The second is there is an event where you can meet the Deep Spren, and if you're not a Radiant, then you get that option at the bottom there, which if you choose perhaps it's Deep Envy, then you can get the Adventurer trait. The problem is that it has a 95% chance of making me a Radiant, but not a Bondsmith. So I sit here and save scum for a long time trying to get that 5% chance where I get the event and don't become a Radiant. And again, that's 5% chance if I get the event. The chance of getting the event, I don't actually know. I didn't look into that. So I'll eventually decide to drop my stress first, because stress is increasing my Radiant compatibility, which is increasing the chance that I become a Radiant from the event. But still doesn't work. So I'll wait and I'll decide to save scum some more, and then eventually I'll decide, no, this still isn't working. I wait, drop my stress some more, and eventually this does work. I get the Adventurer trait. So this roller coaster of a day has almost resulted in me completely abandoning the run and giving up, but I stick it out and I get the trait that I need, and I go to bed knowing that I can finish this tomorrow. All I have to do is wait until my prestige and piety rank maxes out. Okay, I'm going to have to save scum some more to get the Bondsmith trait that took me forever earlier. I don't know why, but for some reason I was getting different results with adding stress via console versus adding stress via sending gifts. I can only assume that either gold was somehow playing into the Radiant formula, that doesn't make sense, or I wasn't getting exactly the same amount of the amount of stress it said I was getting for sending a gift. There's actually a decimal there that wasn't enough to cause a rounding error, but it was enough to impact the formula. I don't know. Still never worked out what the difference was, but I spent hours save scumming for that. But I'll eventually do that again. It's what I'm thinking at this point. I just have to get through this event, get the adventure trait without becoming a Radiant, and we are sorted. You also note that not only am I not Dynasty Head anymore, I'm not even House Head. I was House Head after Succession, but some weird things happen when you've got 5 generations of incest, essentially, because someone who I was descended from created a cadet branch because they didn't have any living ancestors, but because I'm descended from them, I joined their cadet branch, despite the fact that I was the head of the house that they just created the cadet branch to break away from. It's a whole mess, but it doesn't really matter. The AI can't really screw up their choices of dynasty legacies anymore. Just take them all, thanks. We're at 4,500 renown gain a month. It doesn't really matter. See here, I've finally dropped my stress all the way to 0, which means it's time to start trying to delve again. And it takes a few attempts, but I do eventually get there. I get the adventure trait without getting the bond, and we are sorted. The advantage of abandoning the delve is also that I can get 1 level of fame for the cost of 1 level of piety, and it's far easier for me to get piety than it is for me to get fame, so that helps with accelerating ambition as well, since I need both of them to be max for that. So yeah, that's basically the end of day 4. It was a hell of a journey, but I got there eventually. We've got all the traits we need apart from Bondsmith, but that's just a matter of getting a stress break and then save scumming until I get there. So we're ending day 4 with 10 of the 11 victories claimed, one to go. It's at this point though that I remember I don't have to save scum to get Bondsmith because Hemalurgy is a thing which exists, and since I can't steal the Mistborn trait from Brandon Sanderson, I can steal the Bondsmith trait from someone who's already a Bondsmith. I start just looking through to see who the highest rank ones are. I decide to invite this one to court and marry her just to keep track of her. There's another one who's landed who's at a higher rank, but I'll just keep my eyes on them. You see there, I've already done Hemalurgy. I'm gonna roll that back because there's no point in me stealing the trait because A, the AI progress faster than me because I have a progression speed penalty from being on double stupid, and B, difficult for me to get a stress break to bond the Spren anyway, so I'm not making any progress until that. So I may as well just leave them to progress by themselves, and yeah, that's where I end the day and come back tomorrow with it all planned out, knowing it's only going to take me a few hours to finish the run.